We've created a bit of a problem for ourselves because we're just going too fast.
I don't know what else we can do.
And we made it in! We're alive!
I wore my big boy pants. But, you know, hey, we're improvising. That's what we do.
Ian says I'm getting silly now because I found a bucket. You want to bring me a coconut?
My hands don't fit through these.
You need dainty little girl hands.
Dainty girl hands.
Oh, that's a way to wake up. Last time on Red Seas, I lifted Ian up the mast to install a camera to help us spot coral bommies when we're moving about inside these remote atolls. We visited one of the tiny islands and discovered the world's most remote yacht club. We added some homemade decorations to brighten the place up a bit, and then hid some Red Seas treasure for one of you to come and find. The next day, we motored across the lagoon to test out our camera view and set ourselves up to be ready to sail on to the next place. We are waving farewell to Arroyo today. We've just come through the pass and we are heading to Makimo, the next atoll over. So it's only about 80 miles away. Should be a really beautiful sail today.
All right, I'm doing this kind of secretly because you may have heard us in the past talk about the freezer being too full and Bryony putting a fishing ban on us. Well, I've decided to just go ahead and do it anyway. So while she's finishing making a loaf of bread, I'm gonna get the fishing lines out so she doesn't notice. Purple and Mr. Blue. Okay, the slam was a bit loud. She might be on to me. I mean, I figure it's blue water, right? So we've got to be doing all right here. Surely there's going to be something to eat. And even if the freezer is full, I don't mind chicken nuggets, fish nuggets, fish scampi. Scampi, that's what you call it when it's basically chicken nuggets, isn't it? Same thing. One hand deploy. And we're off. Okay, now for line number 2. Good luck. Feed me well.
We left right after another boat coming through the pass. Now they haven't decided where they're going yet. They're either going to go to Makimo the same as us, or they're going to carry on a little bit further and go to Tahanea, the next one. So I think we're gaining on them. I think they were saying that if they went too slowly and didn't have time to get to Tahanea in 24 hours, they would stop at the earlier one. But if they were doing well, they would go on a little bit further. So I'm going to decide that the race is on, only because I think we're catching up. So yeah, we'll see who gets there first. Really nice conditions today, isn't it?
It's actually working out really well. We have pretty much a constant 20-25 knot breeze. And I mean, we've been hitting 7.5, 8 knots.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And then hit a wave and then it kind of slows everything down. And then the boat's like, wait, why am I stopped? And it just picks up and goes again.
It's like I sailed down to Arroyo. It was great, although it's slightly wavier today.
A little bit, yeah. We thought we timed it right because there was a massive drop in the wind like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And everything just went completely flat, like glassy calm, and this has now come in. So we thought maybe we'll get in before the waves get a chance to build up. But because the wind's coming from the south, mostly south, it's kind of pulling up those Southern Ocean swells, I think, and we're getting the last of them.
Yeah, true.
So it's all right, though. I mean, we're saying it's wavy. We've gone through significantly worse.
I know, it's still like less than a meter.
This is like nothing. This is fine, and it's on the beam as well, so we're not even rocking off the side of the boat. It's, yeah, it's going to be easy going. There we are, 7.5 knots, 23 knots of wind apparent. What more could you want?
So you might remember on our Pacific crossing that our oven broke just the first week into the passage and we still haven't been able to get the pipe to fix it. So I've been using my bread maker to make bread because we're so remote here, it's really difficult to buy anything fresh. But in the shop yesterday, I managed to get some flour. Only plain flour, not bread flour, and I tried it. The bread's come out really funny. It's like a pie. It hasn't like risen properly and it's kind of squishy in the middle, but it's better than nothing, so we're going to try it. It's not bad.
It worked. I'm getting bombarded by crumbs.
It's very crumbly on the crust and it's super lightweight and airy, but I think that'll be fine.
Does this pass the brownie test?
Yes, it's kind of like pizza dough, so maybe we should just
pizza.
Eat more pizza with it.
Oh, we should do that thing where you core out the middle and then just fill it with cheese.
Yes, a fondue bowl.
Fondue bread bowl.
So I would say we are definitely gaining on them. We are almost level and passing them. What do you think?
I mean, we're whipping them, I'll be honest. I feel a bit bad because they're going, what are they going? According to AIS, Wayfinder says they're going 6.1 knots.
Oh, they're not doing too badly then.
For them, that's pretty, I need to say that nicer. They're a slightly shorter boat, which means generally speaking, they go a bit slower. In fact, they're going, no, I spoke too soon, they're going 5.2. Yeah,
they are on a 1995 35-foot Fontaine Peugeot, so we really should be beating them.
Yeah, they're going 5.2 knots, we're going 8.5 knots. So it didn't take long to each up the 2 nautical mile head start they got, I think.
Yeah, so boom, we're winning.
And the only problem is that because we're whipping them and cleaning the floor of them, we have now brought into range a much faster boat that is further ahead of us.
I wasn't going to mention them.
No, there's a Nautitech. I think he's still shorter than us, but he is slightly narrower and more beamy, more speedy than us, I think. And he's also probably a better sailor. So they're a little bit further ahead. They're 40-something foot Nautitech, and they are going 6 knots. So we'll catch up with them in no time.
All right, bring it on.
At this rate, we'll catch up with them in less than 45 minutes.
Oh, you've set a challenge now.
What's this going to do to our speed over ground?
It's going to make us drift out that way. But I'm cold!
You're cold, you wimp. It's only 28 degrees. So we've actually had these old, rusty old curtains on board since we bought the boat. And they are horrible in every way. They're kind of, well, as you see, you can't really see through them. They don't really fit the track anymore. Brittany had to repair the track up here. And we do it just because when it rains, basically the whole cockpit is soaking. For 3 years, every time it rains, the entire cockpit is soaking. And on our sail down to Roroya, where we've just been, we discovered we accidentally really left them up in place overnight. And it was so much warmer in the cockpit because the wind isn't passing right through the cockpit. So it's a bit wimpy, to be honest, because it's pretty warm. Yeah, I don't know what 28 degrees Celsius turns into in Fahrenheit, but it's a lot more than most people should need a sweater for. And so we're kind of making do with the grotty, nasty, horrible curtains. Are you coping out there?
In the wind and the swell, this is quite tricky.
Call yourself a sailor.
And I've just realised that we took the peg off down here to fit this, so this is just going to flap around.
I'll go get the peg.
I'm done! We have definitely won that race now. I don't even know if you can see them on the horizon, but both boats are well behind us. However, we've created a bit of a problem for ourselves because we're just going too fast and we are now going to arrive way too early. So we really need to slow ourselves down. So what's the plan?
I'm running out of ideas. So we're 2 reefs in the main. We're 1 reef in the Genoa. I don't really think we need a second reef. We're seeing like 30 knots apparent, give or take, but we're still going 8 knots.
Yeah. We are just zooming along.
Indy does not want to slow down, and it's good because we haven't cleaned her bottom in
like 3 months.
3 months easily. We haven't touched it, and we've got a bit of a hula skirt going on, but clearly it doesn't affect us. So our issue is, to explain in a bit more detail, the passes. I think we said this for Roroya, but the entrances into the lagoons are tidal, right? So we have to time our entrance for when there's no current caused by them filling up at high tide or emptying out at low tide. And so there's 2 windows to 3 windows every day where we can try and get in or out the lagoons. And basically we want to arrive there at 9 a.m. And currently we're going to get there at midnight.
Oh my goodness. So that means we have to like massively slow ourselves down. Otherwise, we're just going to get there and then be like hanging around, zigzagging in front of the pass for like 9 hours in the dark.
And I'm already going the wrong way. Like, I'm not even aiming for the target, which is why we're in the swell. We could be beating into it a bit if we want to get more direct, but I don't know what else we can do.
We're just going to like do a loop of the atoll.
Maybe we'll end up doing like figure eights around other atolls.
Yeah.
Like, just killing time and sightseeing. I don't know. I don't know. 33 knots apparent, 7 knots true. No, 7.5 speed over ground. So Indy just doesn't want to stop. And that's not even helped by the current. It's coming from over there. Slow down. 8.8, 9.1. So it's just past 3 a.m., about 3:20. We've had one heck of a ride. Indy is just going so fast. So we've had to like put 3 reefs in the Genoa, 2 reefs in the main, and we've been sort of holding 5 knots pretty much, speed over ground. And even then we've had to put in some big tacks. So we're about to do the first of our sort of final approach tacks, if you like, which are going to take us. We've kind of ended up a bit too far to the west. We're kind of halfway down the atoll that we want to get into, and the entrance is way over there. So we're going to do our first tack. We're going to beat our way back across the top of the atoll, and then hopefully one more tack, and that'll line us up to arrive. And currently, we're still getting there about 2 hours early. We're still looking at about a 7 or 8 o'clock arrival, and we need to aim for 9. So yeah, we might have to take some emergency measures to slow down enough. I don't know, we'll see.
And I feel like we timed that pretty perfectly. The sun is just coming up and we can see the atoll in front of us. So we slowed down massively overnight to make sure that we didn't get here in the dark. We basically like did a massive curve around the north side and ended up at the far end of the atoll, and now we're just tacking our way back along the top to get to the pass. So the wind has been like super finicky. We've had 30, 35 knots, pushing 40 occasionally. Some massive waves, a few crashing right over into the cockpit. It's been quite fun. But now, yeah, we're just trying to keep our speed up and make sure that we don't now slow down too much that we miss our window. So yeah, I'm keeping an eye on things. We should be all right. Checking out a reef in the main and the Genoa to get our speeds up. I think we've only got about an hour and a half left to go, and I think we're going to be pretty bang on time. We're making a really good speed at 7 or 8 knots now, so flying along to the finish line. And just in the nick of time, we made it! Well, maybe not quite the nick of time. We're about 10, 15, 20 minutes past the absolute best. But that just means that instead of having 1 knot of current going through the pass, we might have 2. So it still should be very, very manageable. But yeah, all we need to do is go through the pass and find somewhere beautiful to anchor. Okay?
Yep.
Oh, that's a way to wake up.
So what makes this particular pass a bit more interesting is, unlike the one back at Reroya, which was quite a short transition from ocean to lagoon, this one we go through the pass, but the pass is actually quite long. And in that time, we're getting pushed in, we think, by the current. By now, we reckon there'll be maybe 3 knots of current pushing us in, which means our steering will be a little bit less effective. And then as we go down this kind of corridor with coral on each side, there's going to be wind hitting us from our port side. So it's going to want to push the boat towards the coral wall that we need to stay in because we're being pushed along by the current straight through. So kind of 2 different actions on the boat with minimal steering and only 1 engine. It's going to be fun.
So it doesn't seem too bad. I think we've got about 2 knots of current carrying us in, which is what we were predicting. So if we had been here like 45 minutes earlier, probably would have been a little bit calmer, but it's not so bad. There's basically one massive reef just on our starboard side, luckily with markers all around it, and just in front of us, one crazy section with loads of white breaking water. So we just have to go through that and quickly skirt around this reef, and then we should be in. Comfortable?
I wore my big boy pants. Yeah, we're okay. Basically, we're now hit the resistance of all the water that's still in the lagoon is now fighting the water that's being pushed into the lagoon and creating this little storm. And I'm just looking at the edge of this reef, because once this reef finishes behind, to the side of us, I can hang a really fast right and it goes completely flat again. But our steering is pretty slow, so we'll have the one engine and I start turning, I have to wait for the boat to catch and eventually it comes round and then it careers into the reef.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, the reef is slightly closer than I thought we had planned, but I trust you. And we made it in, we're alive. Right, anchoring.
All right.
These paddle boards are not coping very well, are they?
These are like the cheapest ones we could find on Amazon, and I just don't think they're made for sunshine.
Yeah, they don't cope in the heat, do they? All the glue is like giving up.
Yeah, and all the seams have started to pop.
Yeah, it'll be like in the Caribbean, we used to see inflatable dinghies that were really past their best and people had just fiberglass over the tubes, so they became hard-sided dinghies. Maybe that's what we'll have to end up doing with these guys.
Get the fiberglass sheet out.
Yeah.
Get the matting going.
We've got enough supplies on board, I guess. So yeah, this will be the first test of putting them in the water since we've prepared them, and fingers crossed we don't sink.
I can hear the hissing already. Oh, it's a windy day. Didn't lose it. Nearly lost it. So we're actually on something of a mission while we're here as well. You may have noticed from some of the drone shots and things when we've been anchoring that there is an awful lot of coral bommies around the place here. Kind of throughout the Tuamotus, it's a known thing. You're in these lagoons and they are just full of life. So we've been tying off fenders on our anchor chain at different lengths to try and keep the chain up off the bottom, partly to stop it wrapping around any coral heads and getting us stuck, but more importantly, so we don't damage any of that. It's all good, except fenders are pretty bulky and we don't really want to lose any. We don't really want to damage any because we don't have many. So we've been reliably informed from a friend that pearl floats, which are the kind of circle buoys that get used in pearl farming, pretty much grow on trees around here. They get washed up from the lagoons, from out at sea, they get pushed onto shore and they just get abandoned. And so rather than leaving all this litter lying around, we figured we could maybe repurpose them. So if we can find, I don't know, 4 or 5, that'd be really cool. And then we can tie them off and try and use them to float the chain on Indy.
So no floats so far, but plenty of coconuts. Do you think these would work?
I think they've been hacked by a coconut crab, so I would watch your toes.
Eek! Ian says I'm getting silly now because I found a bucket. Apparently no good either. Okay, new plan. We've decided that we walked the wrong way on the beach because we were like fighting a really strong current to get up to this point. And actually, if the tide is going to be like washing anything up on shore, it's going to be washing it downstream with the current to the other end of the beach. So we're going to turn around and walk in down the other way and see if we've got any luck further down. We also ran out of beach. You want to bring me a coconut? I should. Aww. Are you enjoying your briny hike today? I mean, at least I know we can't stray too far from the waterfront. Now this one isn't even my fault. We ran out of beach again and we still haven't found any floats. So we're diving through the trees, And hopefully we will stumble across them soon enough. Well, we made it to another tree line, and I think we're going to call it there because we have been looking for quite a while for these floats. We've seen a few that are just floating in the water, but they're clearly in use by somebody. So maybe we will have to take the dinghy and go further afield another time to try and find some of these floats that we can repurpose. As we had expected, and after a few more beach walks, we eventually discovered the jackpot and found whole piles of old pearl floats washed up along the shoreline.
It's not the best handiwork in the world, but so these are the pearl floats we found in the end. And then I've just spliced on really cheap polyprop stuff. This is actually our old dinghy stern anchor line, which died on us. So I've spliced it onto a loop on the back of the ball.
That looks very neat.
And then that runs all the way out. And then because we haven't really got easy access, I made up a couple of like quick and nasty soft shackles. These are kind of like metal shackles with a pin and the screw, but instead we can use rope and you can just like unhook them like that and put them together and tighten them up. So hopefully that'll be enough that it'll be this ride, bobbing around on the surface, and then our anchor chain will be down there somewhere.
So we want these to be as quick as possible to deploy, because obviously when we're going to be putting them out, we're not like set on the anchor with the bridle out and everything. So we're going to try and sort of sling them underneath the trampolines. We don't have great access to our anchor roller. It almost fits through the gap.
Look at this. It wants to go through the gap.
We should have got smaller ones.
Well, ever since we lost the shelf that used to live there, that was actually way back when we were going...
It was our first ever sail.
Our first ever sail. This shelf just got ripped out by a wave, and we've never bothered doing anything about it, thinking this would be the ideal moment to have access.
Yes.
But we need them to be about 2 inches smaller in every direction.
Quite fit through the space.
Close.
So yeah, we're going to pass them over the front of the crossbeam and just sort of hook them back so they're nice and close but dangling underneath the trampolines, and then we can just hook them onto the chain and drop them from above, and fingers crossed it'll go smoothly.
Okay. And then this is fun. This is a job for you. My hands don't fit through these.
You need dainty little girl hands.
Dainty girl hands.
I can fit my whole arm through these spaces.
Ridiculous. So we need these to be living upside down and ready to go.
Okay, so this is basically just holding it in place while we sort out our anchor and stuff. And that locks it in there. And then this other end is what's going to attach to the chain. So I'm going to feed it underneath so it's nice and ready. I'm just going to tie it onto there for now. And then when we pull the chain up to tie these on, that's just right there and ready and close. So I'll tie that on, release the other one, and it will just go splosh and be the right way up. That's the plan.
Something tells me that when Robertson and Kane were designing this boat for Leopard, they didn't quite think this part through. But, you know, hey, we're improvising. That's what we do.
So we're just going to swap out the fenders that we have been using for the new pearl float. So today we're sort of picking our chain back up and taking the fenders off as we go, and then replacing them all with these floats. Normally, it should be much simpler and more straightforward, but we like to make things complicated. So it will be good to get them switched out, and they'll be much smaller, and then our fenders don't get ruined by living in the sea for weeks at a time.
Good to go when you are.
Okay, that's us straight now. Coming up.
Nicely done.
Cool. Yes.
Oh.
Just.
Okay, so that's our max size for any inflatable.
Yeah. Does it matter which one goes on first?
No.
Okay, I can drop 5 meters now. Ready?
Yep, ready to go.
1. Okay, second float. Bridle on. Okay, I'm going to put the final float on now. Okay, final drop. Should be about right. I'll let out more chain as we drift back if we need it.
Perfect.
I think we're done.
Okay, so that pretty much worked, I think, as expected. Part pearl floats are in, there's actually 4 in there, and we can only see 2.5. So I'm going to jump in, I think, and snorkel over and just check on it. The idea behind all this should be that it floats the chain and at least keeps it off the bottom, which is kind of counterintuitive to anchoring. The whole idea is that the chain is on the bottom and that stops you from dragging around the place. But in our circumstances, we don't want to be hitting the coral heads and potentially wrapping around them and getting stuck. So as long as it's keeping it up off the bottom enough, we should be all right, I think. Show me all the upper body strength you have in one go.
I just did. Did you catch it? If we take a freeze frame, it'll look like I stayed up there for ages.
Yeah, all right.
With these guns. I am ripped.
Yes, I think we'll leave that in the edit.